Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say. Since its independence in 1960, Nigeria has grappled with the challenge of uniting over 250 ethnic groups, multiple religions, and of course, divergent regional interests under a single national identity. The dream of one Nigeria, a nation bound by unity, peace, and shared progress, was born out of the hope that despite our diversity, we could build a strong and prosperous country together. However, over 6 decades later, this dream is increasingly questioned amidst deepening ethnic tensions, political marginalization, economic inequality, insecurity, and of course calls for secessions from various quarters. As the country stands at a crossroad, many Nigerians are left to ask, is the dream of one Nigeria still worth fighting for, or has the ideal become a myth in the face of harsh realities? It's another beautiful episode on your favorite primetime show, Ways. My name remains Osayuan Mesale, and today, that is the question. Is the dream of one Nigeria still worth fighting for? And we're going to be having that conversation much later. Now, remember, Ways is all about you. You are the wine Ways, so be a part of the conversation every single day by adding your voice to the discussion. You can head on to our YouTube channel. It's at Official Upgrade TV. Hit the subscribe button, like, share, invite families and friends to watch and follow the show right now. And when we open the phone lines, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. As always, let me allow you ponder on my quote for today. Unity is our greatest concern. It is a duty of every one of us, of course, to work so that we may strengthen it. And this was from Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. We'll delve into the conversation about unity and if Nigeria is worth fighting for, right? Much later. But first, let me run off on a break. I'll come back with what I found in the news as my news interest for today. Stay with me. All right, so the Academic Staff Union of Universities has issued a 14-day ultimatum to the federal government of Nigeria. The union made the decision following a National Executive Council meeting held on Sunday at the University of Abuja. According to ASU, the federal government of Nigeria, they gave the federal government an ultimatum within 14 days, which was supposed to address some of the issues that they have, of course, raised. If at the end of the 14-day ultimatum, the federal government fails to address the issues, the union may have no option but to first embark on a 2 weeks warning strike and thereafter a total and indefinite strike. Is this not sounding like a broken record? Union. I mean, ASU have been on this for God knows how long. Like, I went to school, I have graduated, I've had my children. Our children now are in universities, and we're still having all these strike issues. I've always said it. Insanity the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. ASU, your structure has always been, or the formula has always been, let's go on a strike, let's go on a strike. As you can see, this strike it doesn't mean anything to the government anymore. So I'm going to plead with ASU to find a more constructive or creative way, to get the federal government to listen to them. Or best, why don't ASU fight for maybe, I don't know, autonomy or something that helps them generate their own income so that they're not pursuing federal government for money? It's clear that the government does not seem to prioritize education in this country. If not, we'll not be having the same song being sung every dispensation and every government, ASU, ASU, ASU. So I don't know. This is just my 2 cents on this. All right, so I'm going to move on to my next story. The federal government has cancelled the parade earlier scheduled to mark Nigeria's 65th independence anniversary on Wednesday, October 1st. The announcement was contained in a statement issued on Monday by the Office of the Secretary of the Government of the Federation. It added that the government regrets any inconvenience that was caused, but stressed that other activities lined up for the anniversary will proceed as scheduled. These include the traditional presidential broadcast, cultural programs, and the grand finale of a national campus debate. The federal government deeply appreciates the understanding of Nigerians, the diplomatic communities, and invited guests, and urges all citizens to continue to support the renewed hope agenda of the present administration. I am wondering why this was cancelled. But hey, this is where we are. Nigeria is just full of a lot of discoveries. So I don't know why it was cancelled. Maybe they have gotten some security information that we're not privy to, but I don't know. Final story. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has condemned the death of the news anchor with Arise News Television, Somtochukwu Madugu, who lost her life following a robbery attack at her residence in Katampe area of Abuja. Tinubu extended condolences to her family, the management and staff of Arise News, as well as the Nigerian media community, noting that the tragic loss was not only personal to the family, but also to the nation. The president directed security and law enforcement agencies to conduct a thorough investigation and ensure that those behind the killings are brought to justice without delay. Some colleagues of the deceased have, however, revealed that the 29-year-old journalist died after she was denied medical attention after sustaining injuries during the robbery attack at the residence. Arise anchor Ojiokpe and, of course, her colleagues described her death as preventable. Ojiokpe revealed that the late journalist jumped from her home after learning that 14 armed robbers had invaded the building. She added that Somi survived the fall but later died after allegedly being rejected by the hospital staff. I just posted the video on social media, and the first thing I said was that you pray that Nigeria does not happen to you. I've said this, I posted a similar video in the past, and I'm saying it again. I think it's a very valid prayer that every Nigerian should make, because, again, it's very tragic. You see the government say to hospital officials that treat anybody, at least even if the person is a criminal, handcuff the person to the bed and treat the person. Let the person be alive and well to be able to then say, okay, this is what has happened. But no, we've said this several times. This thing has been, the government, right, allegedly have repealed that do not treat injury when they go to the hospital. That they've repealed it. So why do we still have hospitals rejecting victims that are victims of probably accidents or robbery attacks? And why do we still have that? Because now it's not even the robbery, because prior to now, the information we had heard was that it was due to the robbery attack that, the robbers probably unalived her. But now we're hearing is a different story, that she had to save her life, she had to jump from a 3-story building, and she actually took herself to the hospital but was denied medical attention or medical care. Make it make sense. Nigeria is just from one challenge or the other. Every day, every morning when I wake up, I intentionally say some kind of prayers just to be able to give myself sanity. I have actually avoided anything Nigeria. I've avoided news. I've avoided a lot of things. And it is just because of some of these issues. Because it breaks my heart. I've said this thing several times that we have so many avoidable deaths, so many needless deaths that has happened in this country. It still keeps happening by minutes, per second. And yet we say we have a government. How does it make sense? So it's not enough to give a thorough investigation. No. It is sanctions that we need. There has to be consequences for certain decisions that people make. When we don't have consequences to those decisions, right, we'll continue to have those issues come up again and again. I'll take a break. When I come back from that break, let's discuss if Nigeria is truly worth dying for or fighting for. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light from my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, to assess the whether the dream of one Nigeria is still worth fighting for, we must look beyond the slogan and examine the realities on ground. While the idea of a united, peaceful, and prosperous Nigeria has long been upheld as a national ideal, the lived experiences of many citizens often tell a different story. From ethnic and religious tension to economic inequality to political instability, the nation continues to grapple with internal divisions that challenges, the unity. Yet amidst these challenges, there remains a strong argument for preserving the vision, provided it is redefined and pursued with sincerity and, of course, equity and justice. So joining me to have this conversation, I think I have my first guest, Comrade Emmanuel Nadoze. He's the founder, Human Rights Association of Nigeria. And yes, he's joined me via Zoom tonight. Thank you so much for joining me, Comrade.
Thank you.
Okay, so historically, right, Nigeria gained independence in 1960. Of course, it created from the amalgamation of over 250 ethnic groups and diverse regions, and this was done by the British colonial rule in 1914. And that dream of one Nigeria was emphasized by some of our founding fathers, the likes of Nnamdi Azikiwe, Ahmadu Bello, Awolowo. They envisioned a united country despite our differences, right? So many things happened afterwards. There was the war, the Biafran War, and it sparked a lot of ethnic tension. And I believe that some of those things that happened is still what lingers till date, that we are not able to move past. So before we can even move forward, right, how much of this historical event, how much has it dented, the idea of unity, right, as regards Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you very much. First and foremost, the question that a lot of Nigerians, particularly the young Nigerians, the Gen Z, need to ask is, we need to look at Nigeria from a historical perspective, a historical context. You talks about the amalgamation that was done in 1914. Nigerians actually need to be told who were the representatives of Nigeria, the North and South, that sat down with the then British colonial master, Lord Lugard. What were the terms of agreements for bringing the divergent sections and segments of the Nigerian society into a common sovereign, a common state. I think what actually happened was Nigeria was brought together in 1914 for the economic advantage of the British Empire, the empire builders. It's just to make it very seamless for them to pass the length and breadth of the country. They decided to force together, in order to be able to transport resources back to their country. And it's very difficult for most Nigerians to even see the original paper, what was actually agreed. So then we also gained independence, in 1960. In 1963, we became a republic. Shortly thereafter, there were a series of events that culminated in bloodbath, the coup, first coup, second coup, military overthrow of government, and then the civil war that lasted for over 30 months. And then we also came back together, trying to build a united Nigeria, but we are still not there where we want to be, because I don't think there is this honesty on the part of those who are actually at the top. I mean, there's the people who are actually driving the process of building a united Nigeria. Most of those actors who are in the forefront of asking Nigerians to believe in the unity of this country, they don't subscribe to the unity of Nigeria. They are only after taking over power, controlling all levels of power to advance their own selfish interests, either politically or in terms of resources, to be able to grab as much resources as they can from the public till. And it's difficult for a lot of Nigerians to believe that those who are controlling the government at the federal level or at the state level, it's difficult for any Nigerian to say that these people are actually committed towards building a united Nigeria. And we also have a very major issue, a fundamental error. The military government, led by the then General Abacha, brought together a few people from some parts of Nigeria to draft what they consider to be a constitution. And this constitution was now imposed on Nigerians, which is what we now say is the 1999 Constitution. And if you look at the preamble to the Constitution, you will see that the Constitution began with a blatant lie when the Constitution says, "We, the people of Nigeria, have agreed." Where the question you ask is, where did we sit? Where did we agree to promulgate or to write a law for ourselves? So I think in as much as there are benefits, there are gains, in having a united Nigeria, but the unity of Nigeria has to be built upon honesty and sincerity of purpose. And there has to be inclusivity there has to be collective decision-making by the representatives of the different ethnic nationalities and religious affiliations that make up this country, so that Nigerians can have an acceptable body of law to govern how the different institutions, whether it's democratic institutions or different governmental establishments, the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive, how they're going to operate without one of those arms of government subjugating others, trying to treat others as slaves, like what is currently going on in Nigeria, where you have a very powerful executive arm of government at the center that has almost pocketed the other two arms of government, legislature and judiciary, at the federal level, and at the level of the federating units, the states. There's even no independence in terms of there's no legislative independence, there's no judicial independence, because virtually the courts in the different states go cap in hand to the state governors for their own funds to operate. There's no financial autonomy that is in complete operation in terms of how the different arms of government are to be administered. You can't have a very solid unity in the country if the different arms of government are not independent to a certain level to be able to check the
and checkmate what the center of the executives. Yes. Absolutely. You know, you touched a little bit on ethnicity and what's it called, ethnic groups, and of course religious group. Let's stay on ethnicity, for instance, because right now they say that Nigeria has 3 dominant ethnic groups: Hausa Fulani, the Yorubas, you know, southwest, Hausa Fulani north, and of course the Igbos that are southeast, alongside hundreds of minority ethnic groups, right? We can't look away from ethno-religious crises that have, you know, resulted in thousands of deaths over the years, that it now seems that, you know, certain people will forever be marginalized. When you talked about sincerity of purpose and, of course, honesty, the question is, if we truly want to be sincere and we want to be fair and give chance to everyone, right? Even that narrative that says that the most dominant languages should be Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba, that is already, as far as I'm concerned, is very unbalanced. Because, you know, there are so many ethnicity, there's so much, too many tribes, you know, that are definitely not represented. Even within the 3 dominant, what's it called? 3 dominant ethnic groups that have been, you know, pushed as, you know, the dominant ones. You would always find that power rotates amongst only 2 in Nigeria, at least since I was born. Right? I have not seen an Igbo president, for instance. You know, it seems it's almost like an unwritten taboo that is happening. If we continue to have this, you know, lack of sincerity in the way governance is run, then we will continue to have a problem. So if we truly want to solve this problem, where is the role of actually, in a real sense of it, rotational presidency? Give an example. 2023. We all knew that the power had to come to the South, right? According to the unwritten rule that a northern president was there for 8 years, right? You still had a lot of political parties flaunting, what's it called? Northern, what's the word I'm looking for? Northern candidates. Shouldn't that automatically tell you that, guy, this thing is not going to work? Let us make sure that we are, you know, in the race. Because technically we're supposed to have, you know, power being rotated down south. That did not happen. Secondly, this is the first time in the history of Nigeria where we're having a president and a vice president, both Muslims. We've always had a balance in a way that if the president is Muslim, the vice president will be Christian. If the president is Christian, you know, we've never had both, you know, president and vice president, same religion. And that even trickles down to the governorship level. Most of those people, they try to just strike that unwritten rule, you know, but they strike those balances. So when you continue to have that, how would you even fight for a one Nigeria when it doesn't seem like some people are even are interested in giving fair, balance in the equation?
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to say that the dominance of the major ethnicities, the Yoruba and well, I don't think there is anything like Hausa Fulani. Hausa is distinctive from Fulani, but maybe for purposes of politics, people tend to bring them together and call them Hausa Fulani, and then the Yorubas and the Igbos, they're actually the dominant ethnicity because of the number. And one of the crises on the development that we have in Nigeria is the manipulation of the head counts, the census, the conduct of censuses that have been done in Nigeria, beginning from even when the colonial administrators were in place. They tend to give a certain kind of advantage to the North, even when there's no transparency in terms of how the census or that particular census that was conducted, the last one that was done before the British colonialists left. And then subsequently, all the head counts that have been done in Nigeria have always manipulated. Well, if you look at it concretely, the Yorubas, the Igbos, and the Hausas and the Fulanis, if you want to join them together as one, they're actually the majority in terms of number. And then you made mention of the fact that if we want to have a united Nigeria, it has to be built based on inclusivity. You have to have representatives of the diverse ethnicities and affinities. And also, you also talk about rotational presidency, trying to rotate the presidency between the North and the South. Most of these political parties, like the PDP, and now we now have what they call the APC, taking over power. They have an understanding. They have an understanding which they eventually inscribed in their laws, in their statutes, the constitution of the parties, that political positions should rotate, should operate, so that every part of Nigeria will have a sense of belonging. But in reality, they don't seem to be complying with that agreement. And if you will see what's now to PDP, I think it's as a result of what PDP did. PDP did not respect their constitution by allowing the South to produce their presidential candidate. They gave it to the North. Atiku Abubakar was their candidate in 2023. That was why PDP didn't have a lot of sympathy in the South, because people in the South felt that since the Northerners have had 8 years, it is the turn of the South to have their own turn. But I think what Nigerians should be looking at, we should de-emphasize tribalism, ethnicity, or religious affiliation, because these things don't help us. They have never helped us at all. Nigeria is a country that is perceived and that is assessed by experts internationally and locally to be resource rich, to be so much blessed with natural resources and even human resources. But Nigeria has a problem of poor leadership and bad management of our resources. And that is why over the years, all the successive administrations, particularly both the military that bulldoze their way into power using military might, and the civilians, most of whom did not actually win transparent elections. Most of those elections that we have had in Nigeria in the recent times, the last one, 2023, were characterized by some fraudulent practices on the part of the Independent National Electoral Commission, which doesn't seem to be very independent in terms of decision making, and in terms of actually allowing for transparency, allowing for a peaceful election, allowing for a fair game of election so that the person that actually emerges as the president of Nigeria or the governor of the different states of the federation are actually the people that the electorate have voted for. So we have, and I said it that we should not lay so much emphasis on where the president or the governor comes from. We should rather be concerned about the blueprints, developmental blueprints, because Nigeria is a country that is afflicted by massive poverty. A lot of Nigerians, over 70% of Nigerians, are in absolute poverty. The other time we were told that over 130 million households in Nigeria, are facing multidimensional poverty. If you have that large percentage of the Nigerian households, not even population, not even individuals like that, but families, households means families. So if you have 130 million of households in Nigeria suffering from absolute poverty, we need to begin to look at how we will our leadership recruitment process and the mechanisms we will have to adopt as citizens of this country to elect the right kind of Nigerian citizens that are patriotic, that have what it takes to turn around the poor economic situation that millions of Nigerians are facing. Because whether you elect a Christian president and a Christian vice president, or elect a Muslim like we have now, it's not going to change anything in the area of economy if they don't have the right kind of agenda, to change the economic situation of families that are afflicted by food poverty, try to address and radically, combat the heightened state of insecurity that Nigeria is afflicted with, the massive killings that are going on all over the country by armed terrorists, by kidnappers, bandits, robbers, and the rest of them. If the president and the governors do not have the mechanisms, the strategies for combating these social vices, these crimes against humanity, so that Nigeria you cannot even talk about unity if there's no security in terms of security of food security, and in terms of security of lives and property of the citizens. And then we have to have a constitution that every one of us in the country must have played a role to bring into actualization. The 1999 Constitution was not written by Nigerians. Was not written by representatives of Nigerians, but they were written by some selected members of the elitist club, selected by the military administration of the late Muhammadu Abacha. And what they put into that constitution substantially favors the North, particularly the Muslim North. You cannot talk about justice, fairness, equity, and equality, and equal opportunities in Nigeria if you have one state, Kano State, having more members in the National Assembly, in the House of Representatives. One state, the members representing Kano State in the Federal House of Representatives are more than the members representing the 5 states in the Igbo-speaking Southeast. This is very unfair.
So, but you see,
this is unjust.
Because you see, sorry, comrade, because you touched a little bit to say that you didn't want us to go across all those lines when we were having the conversation. Unfortunately, in fact, when you ask me where I'm from, as in, I just tell you I'm a Nigerian. I don't need to tell you where I'm from. That is how Nigerian I am. That's how patriotic I am. I don't even want you to know where I am from. Just know that I am in Nigeria, because my own slogan personally is Nigeria first. Before I now tell you where I'm coming from, whether I came from the moon or the sky, right? Unfortunately, what you have just said now, what you just touched on, is the reality on ground. So it will be difficult for us to be able to separate religion, ethnicity, and all of that when we are having the conversations around leadership or governance in Nigeria. But let's go on a short break. When we come back from that break, I'll let you continue your thoughts on the conversation. Then we can also take some comments on social media. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
All right, thanks for staying tuned. If you are just coming to the show, our conversation is the dream of a one Nigeria. Is it still worth fighting for? Please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Send us a SMS, WhatsApp 081-803-84663. You can call us on 07025-007749 or 0701424240. You can also leave us a comment on the YouTube links or read your comments. I have a comment here, or two comments. It says there's nothing like one Nigeria. It says that company needs to fold up, and this was from Wilson Gomez. Now that is, the true sentiment of what is going on. Because if Nigeria were a business, I was saying to I think I was speaking with my son, or I can't remember who I was talking to. I said, if we start to run Nigeria as a business, I'm sure by now, a lot of people would have been sacked, so that the business will grow. That's the reality. Unfortunately, we still have those very strong sentiments that we hold on to that is causing us serious dent. Comrade, I still have Comrade Emmanuel with me. I had asked the question when I started this show. I said, how much dent, has all the events that happened, be it the coup, the civil war, and all of those things, how much dent did it cause in the very fabric of the nation called Nigeria today? Because I believe that we need to probably go back to those things, revisit them, and heal from those things for us to be able to move forward. A lot of things are drawing us and setting us back. We cannot divorce these sentiments of religion, ethnicity, and all. We can't divorce it at all. Because you know why I'm saying this? In the 2023 general elections, I was at almost about 10 polling units within my estate. I went from one polling unit to another. And all I could hear very loudly was, especially ethnic sentiments, in the choice of who to vote for as a leader. That just broke my heart, because that is the reality. You can't separate it. It is embedded, it's together. So how much dent did that event or those events that happened, how much dent did it cause? And how do we start to move out from those things? How do we heal, and how do we move forward?
I think, it's quite significant, particularly the military coups that happened immediately after Nigeria got her independence, and how those those boys in uniform did not manage their positions properly, and they now led the country into a civil. And if you look at the instances that the events that took place before that civil war, the killings of those leaders of the different regions, particularly the land leaders, Ahmadu Bello, Tafa Balewa, and then some other prominent leaders. And then the subsequent coup that happened, and the killing of Agui Ironsi, and other major actors in the military that are from the south, southeast particularly. And the pogroms, the killings of Igbos that were living in the part of Nigeria in the north, and well, different things happened. So I think I have actually compared some of those events together with the military coup that did not practically advance Nigeria in terms of economic advancement, in terms of infrastructural revolution, in terms of institutional building, and in terms of trying to sustain our democratic culture and traditions, and trying to bring together the divergent ethnicities and people of different faiths, different faiths, and even those who do not even have any organized religion that they call their own, has been quite a very difficult situation to think about, because a lot of those so-called leaders, people that have managed to get to the top, whether in the military or in the civilian, segment of the society, have always not, gone into public offices with the best of intentions to build a united Nigeria. And I think we have an opportunity in our hands, particularly the younger Nigerians, the youngsters of Nigeria, those who are very young, to try to break away from the vicious cycle of ethnicism, religious bigotry, and tribalism that the political actors that are in control of the government at the moment are, making every effort to try to keep Nigeria, in bondage, the bondage of ethnicism, bondage of tribalism, bondage of religious differences. The younger people should begin to look at ways of getting involved and getting themselves railroaded democratic into different offices in the public sphere, in the political, environment, so as to change the narratives. Because as long as the current crop of leadership are concerned, their central focus is to maintain their strong hold and their stranglehold on power, to ensure that they keep their positions as political leaders of Nigeria. So the greater percentage of Nigerians who are young, who have a very long period of time, those political actors who are in control of administration at the federal level, the president, for instance, the vice president, and the rest of them, these are all people that are aging. They're actually aging. So you have very younger people who are the bulk of the electorate. They should take the opportunity to get themselves registered as valid voters and try to see how they can fight so hard to elect only persons who have what it takes to change the narrative
Comrade.
from negative to the positive. Yes.
Comrade, apologies for butting in. Is
Yes.
it a case of going to go and get voters card, or actually going into those political parties to actually be card-carrying members of political parties? Because these arguments have come up several times, and we have seen how it is important for you to be part of the delegates that are decision makers that would eventually put the people on the ballot paper. So, because you see, at the point of ballot, as far as I am concerned, with what I have seen in hindsight, it's already too late. Imagine if we get to that Nigeria where we are no longer choosing between the devil and the deep blue sea. We are choosing between a good candidate and a better candidate, right? So it's not a thing of, oh, who is the one that will give us lesser evil anymore. It is, this person is good, this person is great, you know? So those are the kind of choices you will make. But you can only have those kind of people make it to the ballot boxes when they, at the political party level, they are able to have people place them based on the delegates and all of those things. So they select the candidates that will go and represent the political parties. So, I mean, we've had this conversation, and I feel like at the point of saying you want to go and take a PVC, it's already too late. Nigeria should wake up to the reality that we need to be involved politically, right? We need to ensure that we are part of political parties. We need to ensure that we are also monitoring the people that we place at the positions of power. Because even if you don't want to join a party, we do not engage. Nigerians are very docile. We don't engage anything. We just do, it's okay, there's a problem here. Instead of me to look for the local government chairman in charge, I'll just go and look for money and fix the problem. And it's not supposed to be so. So how do we get Nigerians out of that docility state into an active citizen that is actually pushing, you know, for better governance for all of us?
Yeah, I think Nigerians are actually, particularly the younger stars of Nigeria, very docile. They're not there. They are very active, but they're not active in the right way. I want to agree with you, Milton. The younger people of Nigeria are they're not doing quite well. But in terms of making their positions known, it is not in doubt that even in power at the moment, are not sitting pretty tight. They're not comfortable. They don't go to bed with their two eyes closed, knowing very well that the people of Nigeria, the majority of who are very young, very educated, who have a lot of skills and talents, but who nevertheless, you don't have those kind of opportunities in employment experience, you know, because even no paid employment anywhere, no paid employment slot in the different government is, they're not enough. The thousands and millions of young Nigerians who graduate every year from the universities, and a lot of these graduates are talented. It's not. If you have at least 1 million Nigerians graduating, young Nigerians graduating from the universities, up to 100,000 of them that are profoundly useful and talented. So if they can't find their way into government positions, I agree with you that they should find their way into political parties. They should join political parties. The young people of Nigeria should be encouraged to join political parties. Political parties are many. We have a lot of political parties now. It's not just about All Progressive Congress, the People's Democratic Party, or the factionalized, I mean the other parties that the government in power have used their edges to try to destabilize. That used to be very, 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 strong, and used to be the kind of the face of majority of Nigerians who want to have, try to come together under Labour Party, and then you have those who are in the federal administration at the moment using agents, and they supplanted into those political parties to try to. The PDP is already almost gone. The APC has been able to hijack the PDP, taking a very a major stakeholder of the party, giving him a very juicy appointment, the Minister of Tea, and he has been doing a very good job for the president to try to destabilize PDP. And we also have the man who ought to have left his position as the national chairman, Labour Party, who is suspected to be working for the APC, trying to destabilize the Labour Party. But the good thing is that there are several other parties that are in existence in Nigeria. So I think Nigeria should be encouraged, the younger ones should be encouraged to mobilize themselves and try to get into political or party administration and try to see how they can get some of best brains into positions of authority so that during elections, they can sponsor those candidates to run for public offices. But getting a PVC is very, very important. It's very important to have a voter's card. If you join political parties and you don't have a voter's card, you cannot make a decision during the election proper. And then, apart from political mobilization, Nigerians, particularly the younger ones, always emphasizing the youngsters because the future is their own. They are the ones that own the future. Those who are in government at the moment, the highest they're going to spend again, maybe more than 10 years, 15 years, they're gone. So the younger ones who are less than 40, 45, 50, this country belongs to you, the future belongs to you. You have to begin to get into
I
political
mean,
offices,
if the current, because
in political
sorry,
activities.
comrade, you said the younger ones, if this current crop of leaders are the ones setting the precedents that are grooming these people that you are talking about, the younger generation, do you think that this vicious cycle is going to end? It's not going to end. I mean, if you have a child today, you know that it is not what you say that the child will do. It is what you do that the child will do. So if the younger generation are watching and they are seeing the amount of impunity and corruption that is going on within the system, do you think it's going to change? But I just want to quickly hear your final thoughts because we run out of time. Nigeria 65, 6 decades and a half later, how would you say that we have done? How well have we done as a country?
We have done very poorly. We've done, if you want to mark 1 to 10, has not even scored up to 2% in the last 65 years, due to what I call the leadership, the poor leadership we've had, and also the poor fellowship. If you have people who are not supposed to be in government, if they find their way into government, and then you have the voters, the followers, who are ready to sell their votes for as little as 5,000 naira to allow a thief to get into office as a governor or as in whatever capacity to govern the country or any part of this country, you are not going to get the best of services that you ought to have as citizens of Nigeria. This is the reason why Nigerians, when we look back at 65, we will say we have done very badly as a country. If you look at other countries that became independent with us, they have all advanced. If you look at a country like Malaysia, Malaysia was said to have traveled down to Nigeria. Malaysian agricultural experts that were sent by government. Malaysia got independence, I think about the same time with Nigeria. They came to Nigeria and took palm oil fruits. Palm fruits, and they traveled to their country. And yes. And now Malaysia is the largest producer of red oil. Even the red oil we produce in Nigeria, we don't even have enough that can go around. And now we gave this agricultural to Malaysia has overtaken us and has become the largest producer of palm kernels internationally. So I don't think we have done very well. We have to look at ourselves as people who have failed. It's like a student that has spent a greater amount of time in school without scoring 4% out of 10. It is very unfortunate, and I don't think there's anything to celebrate. The only thing maybe we have to celebrate is that we still have the opportunity to rewrite our history. We still have the opportunity to speak out, continue to speak out, to demand accountability, to demand transparency, to demand that the people who have managed to find their way into federal or central government do not abuse their powers, do not mismanage the economy of the country, do not appoint surrogates into independent National Electoral Commission to conduct the next election, because that's exactly what may drive Nigeria into destruction. If a very competent, a very patriotic, a very a fearless Nigerian is not appointed to head INEC, because a lot of folks are interested in this election. If the government of President Ahmed Tinubu decide to appoint a surrogate, a clicker that is going to manipulate the next election, then I think there's going to be a very big problem.
In fact, everybody is, waiting to see who eventually appoints. Unfortunately, we ran out of time, but thank you so much, Comrade Emmanuel, and well done on the good job that you're doing. We're hoping that one day we'll all sit together and raise a glass to a better Nigeria. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Now, the dream of one Nigeria was once a noble vision, a promise of unity in diversity, a federation built on mutual respect, shared prosperity, and equitable representation. But decades after independence, the dream has become deeply contested, battered by ethnic tension, systemic corruption, regional marginalization, economic disparity, political exclusion. I mean, the list is endless. What was once imagined as a beautiful tapestry of cultures and, of course, identity now feels more like a fragile patchwork constantly threatened by the seams of division. That said, the question is whether unity is nice, is a nice idea. Of course it is, but at what cost? And what are the conditions to fight for one Nigeria? So, I mean, today we must not just, blindly say that we need a one Nigeria. It has to be something that comes with intentionality and that we are ready to fight for it, and we're ready to put, our foot on the ground to say everybody matters and it is Nigeria first. Then we can start to see, a Nigeria that will be, profitable, and it will, it will be good for all of us. All right. So on that note, if you missed our quote for today, here it is. It says that unity is our greatest concern, and it is the duty of every one of us to work so that we may strengthen it. And this was from Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. All right, thank you so much again for watching. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channels at Official Upgrade TV. Like, share, invite families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. My name remains Osayiwa Mesali, and tomorrow, Chioma Kalu will be seeing you. And enjoy the rest of your evening.